Hello, everybody. It is Friday. The 7th episode of WandaVision has debuted, and we're getting some escalation in terms of what's happening in the story, but also there's a number of questions being asked, and everybody was wondering, is this engineer going to show up? Was it this person who brought this big tank? Or is it somebody else, this aerospace engineer? So a lot of thoughts and feelings going into, I believe we're 3 episodes left. Chat, you can help me out here. We were wrapping up our Mortal Kombat stream today, live Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 8 to noon to the moon, but figured since people are talking about WandaVision today, we'd talk about it for a bit here in chat. So, what we do know so far in the world of WandaVision is things are not as they appear. And even though we all thought that Pietro, who was the actor from the X-Men films, represented some sort of crossover of the multiverse, or how is this happening? The thoughts of who really created this hex, how did it come to be? There's still some questions about it. And what really is the motivation of some of the people in S.W.O.R.D? And if their motivation is this crazy 5-year trauma of the snap and then getting Vision, pretty much being in control of Vision. So the motivations for the characters on the board are starting to form in place, and it's taken a little while to get here, but now we're finally getting here. The mischief, the mystery, the overall sensibility of the show has been fun for a lot of people because it again is showcasing the generational years of sitcoms and story presentation and fantasy, televised fantasy. Why it's being expressed this way, or why this life is this way, I think is really the manifestation of Wanda Maximoff wanting to be in a place of happiness, wanting to create a place of solace after the immense tragedy that she is still trying to overcome. But now some mysterious forces are showing their hand. And are they taking advantage of somebody that's this powerful in the moment? Or has a dormant power that's always been there on Earth and across the universe, perhaps, has been awoken? Or has realized that now is a better time to strike after the good of the universe has beat back such a powerful foe? A lot of possibilities. But Agatha seems to be the key. And there's a number of times in the show where I feel a little bit like, okay, are we gonna get there? Okay, here's another fun, quaint moment. And yeah, I enjoy the artistic style and expression for, doing the Office and Modern Family and having it be cutaway, breaking the fourth wall. But even now, that's starting to feel a little bit dated, So it's funny to see this form of entertainment through the lens of WandaVision and realize how it dates the decades that it's from. Very fascinating. I've enjoyed that artistic expression and the self-reflection of our own history with fantasy and sitcoms. But again, I'm asking myself, okay, where is this going? Where is this going? Where is this going? And I know a number of fans online are saying the same thing. I like the characters that are still on the board. I really like Jimmy. Kat Dennings always does a great job. Rambeau is really taking charge and leading here, and that whole sequence of her going through this hexagonal reality and different forms of her through time, phasing out of her, but then charging back in, and then going through an undertaking that her cells have changed. And as somebody in chat mentioned earlier during our live MK show, Rekka Sketch, I believe, who won today's giveaway, our Friday giveaway, congratulations, that this could be the way to accelerate mutants being introduced. And what's the difference between mutants and these other superpower people? Is mutants are born that way, right? But, well, maybe people that are in this realm of the MCU, but mutants haven't been introduced yet because of the contracts of Fox and Marvel back in the day. Now that it's all under one roof, they're trying to bring everything under one roof. So how do they do it? Well, pretty much change the nature of reality and change the cells of people. So Monica Rambeau, I believe, is now Photon after going through this phase. And she can see the radio waves and perhaps has other powers. But I like her not giving up and her trying to figure out a way to figure this out at the detriment of her own health. And Vision encompasses that as well. And him and Kat Dennings having that talk during the episode, I would have liked to have seen 2 minutes before that scene started in the show, where she's explaining to him, like, yeah, you died, and this happened. I mean, they do. I mean, I'll go back and watch all the episodes before the penultimate and the ultimate. And she's trying to be supportive, but also just realizing the surreal nature of having a conversation like this. But I feel that the MCU is starting to push past, or at least balance the surreal with, this is our reality now, and they've had 10 years to accomplish that. This universe feels lived in, the trauma feels real, the trauma feels lived in. And I believe maybe the feelings or the sentimentality, the emotions of why so many people want to have things further escalate is because of how grandiose the previous Marvel endeavor was with Endgame and then Spider-Man. But this is a bridge between what happened at the end of that crazy ultimate finale and what happens next. And this reflection of grief and post-traumatic stress and the commercials dealing with the Infinity Stones, it's more of a reflection of everybody going through grief or trying to figure this out, which is why you have people at SWORD that are apprehensive. I just really hope they stick the landing. And that's where these next couple episodes, I mean, yeah, we're all being honest, this is how television works, right? But they really got to stick the landing here. And I feel fans are leaning towards two different ways right now. One way is, oh, it's a Mephisto. The PA Tour casting of Evan Peters as the Quicksilver from X-Men showing up as a Quicksilver in the MCU is just a red herring. It's not going to really fully detail or go into this multiverse split and them existing. It's just a trick by Mephisto who can maybe see into the multiverse. Or it's the fabric of nature, it's a fabric of reality being shifted or changed, or the power of the reality stone ripping through the multiverse, which leads into Doctor Strange and the multiverse of madness, right? So you see the trains going to that station. It's not going to really deviate. I hope it's the inclusion of all the Fox actors and characters, but I don't know how that's going to work, how complicated that's going to be, the possibilities of recasting, the decades and era that they're from compared to today. It's a lot to ask, but they could do it in a way where they're like, yeah, it's time travel, don't ask too much, or it's the multiverse or whatnot, and they don't try to explain it too much. But I feel the fans were able to go along for the ride in Avengers with the quantum realm and the universe and time because they were able to articulate it the best way they could. But really, when they re-explained it with, I forget her first name, Tilda Swinton's character, which she's so amazing on screen. But to define the timeline and where the stones are, and if you take them out, it'll change. So if they are doing this with the nature of reality and the fabric of reality, I hope that it pays off, or at least can carry us through, so that all of these Fox endeavors, all the previous Netflix endeavors, all of it fits, or it feels like it fits, or it makes sense. Will there be some growing pains? Perhaps. But honestly, for us to experience what we did in the last 10 years of the MCU, cinematic universe, right? The big budgets, the huge special effects, the events, the tentpoles. And for that to continue in the new manifestation of streaming with proper budgets and scaling into the bigger events, I feel that this is going to be, again, the next 10 years will be a split, or probably maybe like 30-70. 30% is the Disney content and 70% is cinematic. I would have said that maybe a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. But now, Yeah, I think they'll still follow the same format. This is episodic, leading to a much grandiose event, which is Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I think the overall expectation that I had of this show, wrapping up today's episode of my thoughts so far, is after experiencing something so grandiose with the adventures, I'm expecting something grandiose from this show, and this show is not that. But it's setting up the pieces, it's setting up the parts and pieces necessary to transition us into this next all-encompassing phase. And for the artistic expression to do it amidst the decades of entertainment through the manifestations of television and the decades of entertainment that we have enjoyed through Fox and other endeavors that have used the Marvel characters, that's a pretty deep meta tie-in, and something that I feel on a subconscious level all of us are appreciating. Growing up, reading comic books, watching the cartoons, you always thought, wouldn't it be great if all these characters would appear together? And now, we're getting that. We're getting that in DC, and we're getting that in Marvel. So those are my overall thoughts. This is an escalation for sure, but we really need some big payoffs here. Now, the ultimate spoiler at the end of the episode, which was such a lovely sequence that I went back and watched it multiple times, and I've been humming the theme of it. It was Agatha all along, and Catherine Hahn is a treasure. She is a treasure. She is owning this. And that reveal, and she goes, and I killed Sparky too. And she does the laugh and then turns it into the witch laugh, and they cut. I went back and watched that about 8 times last night because it was so well done. It was such a great punch. It was such a great musical theme. It went back and tied a bow neatly around all the previous episodes and the different areas she was in. Controlling. And her doing the spell for Pietro to show up, I thought, what the F is really going on? What's really going on? Yeah, Hale in chat asked Mephisto. Mephisto is a character that I'm honestly not all that familiar with, but he, represents this dark realm. And within the comic books, Mephisto tricked Scarlet Witch and Vision by creating the children, because Vision can't have children. He can't create children with Scarlet Witch. But he does it using pieces of his soul. And it goes through this whole episode, but then the kids are reincarnated and they become Wiccan and Speed, who are part of the Young Avengers. So all of this takes place in the comics, and Mephisto is involved, but we don't know if Mephisto is going to be involved at all in the TV show, or if Agatha is enough of a character. And Agatha is a 12,000-year-old witch in the comic books. But yeah, Catherine Hahn, Snooper's gonna snoop. Dude, right before I went live, I was watching heavy spoilers, because I like to watch his breakdowns sometimes to break down, even further Easter eggs and things. I don't like being spoiled, but I like having a sensibility of the Easter eggs that are happening within the show, so I have a deeper context of it from the comic books. That's why I like watching those YouTube videos. I pick and choose, because, no, I don't want to watch what leaks have happened or your theories, but I want to watch a review of the episode to know kind of what's going on, because there is precedent with this with the comic books. But yeah, the Snooper's gonna snoop. I went back and jumped on Disney Plus real quick and went, oh, I should have stayed for after the credits, because I had been skipping that because there wasn't anything for the last couple episodes. But yeah, Snooper's gonna snoop. So I wonder if Agatha as a witch sees the opportunity of power after what has been witnessed with Scarlet Witch, but just know that these Infinity Stones and this Infinity Powers existed for a long time. Existed for a long time. Yeah, Kevin says Snooper's gonna snoop. Chat, I'm still on board for the rest of the show. I'm hyped for what's gonna happen, but I must say, real talk, that sometimes it feels like a chore until you have a big payoff scene like with Agatha. It's like, okay, Monica Rambeau goes and gets this big tank. The tank does it. It's like, yeah, we knew this tank wasn't gonna work. Oh, it's space-age technology. Yeah, it's not gonna work. But her going, then when she goes through, you're like, oh, okay, this scene's amazing. And then we keep having the back and forth of, oh, yeah, Wanda's losing her mind. Okay, she's losing her mind. Things are starting to break down. Oh, shit. Agatha's been the one behind it. And not only is it a quick little, reveal and then it cuts away. It's a whole musical number that recaptures everything. It's pretty dope. All right, so those are my thoughts about this episode and where we are in the series. I'm down to discuss what happens in the next couple ones because this is a new frontier in the world of new media. I think WandaVision is having a lot of fun, and gosh darn it, the theme song is so catchy. It's so catchy. So thanks as always for tuning in. Hit that like button, subscribe if you can, and I will see you online. WandaVision.